When I was 9 years old, I got a boombox for my birthday. My t-ball career ended prematurely when I lost the ball immediately after hitting it due to the fact that I'm legally blind, so the radio was all I had. I spent hours and hours listening to ball games and really falling in love with the sport of baseball. For the most part, I was pretty content with the whole arrangement. I became a big Brewers fan and listened to games every chance I could. I never really thought about playing because it was something I just figured I would never be able to do. Until a couple summers ago when I decided to hit the batting cages with a couple friends of mine, and it was, Alright, roll the tape.
Swing! Oh, my bad. Again, my bad. Called it pretty early. Swing! Here, step forward a little bit. And now up. Swing! Swing! Here, I'm gonna guide you. Step forward a little bit. There you go. Swing!
Oops, alright, guess batting's not my thing. But there's something about pitching that lends itself to muscle memory, and after the batting cages, when I was talking to my friends, I figured, you know what? I want to learn to pitch. And in February, I posted out on this local Facebook page and was overwhelmed by the response that I got. I mentioned that I was legally blind in the post because I wanted people to know this was going to be a challenge. I don't know what I don't know, and I'm not sure what people would need to know to teach me, and I was honestly just, well, going in blind. So, batting's not going to do it. Pitching might be a way for me to play. And today I wanted to take you along to a lesson and just show you how pitching non-visually works. If Trevor Bauer can do it, never mind. But you know what? We're going to give it a shot. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so my sister is here, and we are off to the Rochester batting cages. Let's do it. Yo, if Trevor Bauer can do this with one eye open, or both eyes closed, I gotta give him props, because this is something that is taking some time to learn the process of. Pitching non-visually is about muscle memory, it's about repetition, it's about finding ways to feel the pitch. And that's something you're gonna see me struggle with a little bit in this session, and we're working on it. And it's been so amazing having a guy like Mitch to work with because he is able to bring a new perspective from a biomechanical standpoint and from a baseball player standpoint. And having the chance to work with him and for him to show me things from a physical, like kinesthetic perspective has really been the difference for me thus far as I've learned to pitch. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those things in just a moment. Alright, gonna get some warm-up tosses in here. Oops, well, that wasn't me. Alright, here we go. So, as we kind of outline the lesson, it's usually just kind of what we're going to work on. Mitch is always thinking of things in between times, so maybe he has a new way to show some concept or other. We're going to go back to what we were working on, kind of laying out a roadmap. So, here we go. So we're going to start off today using something called a hip halo. And essentially what I use this for is being able to feel the tension on my hips as I pitch. And this kind of helps me stay balanced. It helps me kind of know if I'm leaning too far one way or the other. And it kind of gives me a sense of direction laterally as I'm starting to get my motion together. And so Mitch is working with me here to kind of get that feeling back and sort of where I'm supposed to be going as I start going into the work that I'm going to do with my arm today. Pitching is so much about feeling and about getting concepts right based on how things are feeling that Mitch is very good at kinesthetically working with me to do certain things, and we're going to see that a lot more as we go. Up next is probably the most universally useful piece that we've done thus far, and that is a length of PVC piping. And you're seeing Mitch working with me right now to kind of get a sense of where my arm should be as I turn. We've also used the PVC pipe as a measure to line me up for throws. And so it's a really useful piece in terms of getting a straight line that is long enough to be functional. We can turn it and provide an axis to work by. We can also use it as an alignment tool on the ground. And so it's something that really serves quite a few purposes for us, and it's been something that's been really fun to work with, and Mitch really has a knack for how to make the PVC pipe more useful. So here Mitch has added a second PVC pipe, and I'm holding mine horizontally, he's holding his vertically, and we form an X as I turn into where my release point should be. So this is a very kinesthetic way of finding a consistent release point. So biomechanics and your brain are really weird, and this is an example of that. So I'm holding this big semi-deflated ball in my left arm, my glove side arm, and I am using this as something that's going to stop me from having to really think and focus on the glove side a little bit, because I can't move that arm, otherwise I drop the ball. So I'm keeping that ball kind of tucked, and now we are starting to work on an arm motion. Pitching has got to be one of the most frustrating and yet one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I'm trying to do something that is not inherently meant for the blind, and so this process is something that I'm having to learn, and sometimes I absolutely nail it. I will throw one that feels so good and it's lined up so well, and the next one I'll just hurl off into some unknown corner of the universe and it feels awful. And trying to find that balance has been really the challenge. And so what you're seeing here is just repetition. I'm doing this over and over and over and over, and Mitch is giving me feedback every time on how I'm doing as I throw. So at this point, I've kind of worked on a little bit of the motion. I've worked on how my arm should be. And so Mitch is having me pause in what we have named positions 2 and 3. And so we've broken down the motion of pitching into position 1 is kind of my neutral. I'm just standing. Usually my hands are on my chest with the ball, kind of like you see a pitcher before they're going to pitch. You know, they're looking down to the catcher to get signs. Position 2, I kind of bend back and I'm kind of getting ready to make my throw, and so I have to have my my arm back and everything. It's kind of like when you're bowling, you have to be lined up and ready to do it. And position 3 is where I go back and I kind of go into that throw itself. And so we've broken down the throw into those 3 main positions, and now you're about to see me put it all together for real this time. This one's for the glove, baby.
The rubber is going to be right here. Yep, perfect. So from there, do you want to keep this or you want to get rid of it? Yep. Sounds good. Good. Now I got a real baseball, all right?
There it is. I finally get one in the glove there just at the end. And people ask me what my goal is with learning to pitch, and I'll give it to you straight. My goal is to throw a strike 60 feet 6 inches. I want to throw from the mound to home plate. And this started that process, so it felt good, and I'm excited to get back to it hopefully pretty soon. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you guys in the next one.